Don't treat your soil like dirt. You recognize that phrase?
I do.
This is Mike Dorian of Living Soil Solutions, and that is the phrase that's on the back of one of your vehicles, your van. So I was driving behind you the other day.
Oh yeah, there you go.
And I was like, oh, there's Mike, or one of his cohort.
Yeah.
Anyways, Mike has come by the house, just gave him a little tour, and he's going to come inoculate the yard with all kinds of goodness.
Woo-hoo.
So for those of you that have been following along, this year was the year that I redid the front yard. I'm, building a permaculture food forest in the front, and just sharing with Mike, like, we got good, decent soil, but you can tell it needs a bit of life in there. And so that's what Mike brings. So we're going to be doing a microbial application. I'll let him share a little bit about what it is, why you'd want to put it on your yard, and a little bit about yourself. Get to know you. He's in the Calgary area. I know Mike from his previous life of a calendar salesman.
Yeah, totally.
And
years back, that's when we all met.
Yeah, for sure. We were all starting our businesses at the same time. We were at a marketing for hippies workshop, and yeah, totally. So yeah, it's been a good journey to see you evolve in your process and where you've come to now. So tell us a little bit about Living Soil Solutions, what you do, and why somebody would want to have that done to their yard.
Right. So Living Soil Solutions came around based on just trying to get people off of the synthetic chemicals and how can we do things a little bit more naturally. Because I started thinking back when my grandma used to grow. Well, she didn't have all these things around, and she was just using compost that she was making in the garden. So taking some of these old methodologies and providing some kind of more newer technologies or newer ways of doing things, and then kind of mashing them together.
Yeah.
So we have kind of a 3-prong attack that we help people at Living Soil Solutions. One is we have products that are totally natural. I usually throw them or spray them on my daughter first, and if she doesn't get a rash or anything, then I know they're going to be okay. It's going to be working out. So so that helps with all kinds of different things in the soil, to feeding the microbes, to building the microbes up. Like, for example, like worm castings and humic acid and liquid kelp and liquid fish and these kinds of things. And then we have our service side. So this is what we're doing today in Malcolm's backyard. Is we have a liquid application. Compost tea is what they've been calling them, compost extracts. And it's a microbial diverse solution that's going to have lots of microbes, from our bacteria, our fungi, protozoa, and nematodes, to all our nutrients, getting it into the yard to kind of essentially bring a probiotic or a multivitamin to the yard, to let the soil get healthy, so that the plants are supported by the soil, instead of the typical mindset of feeding the plants. Let's feed the soil, and the soil will feed the plants. So we've got that kind of set, and then the last one is just doing teaching and stuff. And I know we've done a little bit of that with you guys at the Light Cellar, and doing the teaching and education and all that kind of jazz. I think
cool. Actually, we got to talk about that. We need you back for Ferment Fest again.
Denis was sliding some things at me when he was at Inspire Fest there. So
totally. So we'll give a little shout out to Ferment Fest. That's gonna be happening, I don't even know the date, October, November, sometime in that range. And we're in Culture the City. So
it's gonna be a good one.
Cool. All right. So we use this analogy of you just kind of brought it up, this idea of, okay, if we think about how there's been this over antibiotic use in most people's yards, lawns, that type of thing, in terms of Roundup, glyphosate, it's incredible how common that is, that you can still this day buy it from the hardware store, go home, like Kill-X, Weed-X, all this stuff. So of course, similar to how humans have abused their own microbiome through antibiotics, chlorine, all kinds of chemicals that really reduce our microbiome. This is kind of the garden equivalent, the average lawn.
Exactly.
How about from kind of a nutrient standpoint? Because, not only are you bringing microbes and life, but we're looking at kind of increasing nutrients in the soil and that kind of availability and uptake by the plants.
Exactly.
So the average lawn, the average garden, what have people been doing wrong that they're missing out on that?
Yeah, so if you look at what most people are using, so the typical Miracle Grow, a lot of these things are based on, NPK, so that's nitrogen, potassium, and phosphorus.
Right.
And
synthetically produced.
Yeah, and it's all water soluble. So if you're applying this stuff on, and then if you do a heavy water, you get a heavy rain.
Yeah,
all that stuff is going to flow right through the system, and that's where you're starting to see, big ag having problems by getting all this stuff going down into the water systems, and we're getting that all going now into the oceans and that jazz. So
not to mention the geopolitical stuff that's going on, right?
Yeah, 100%.
Like, as soon as that gets that tap, of the NPK gets altered or just tweaked in any way, like it's big crisis.
Yeah,
it's like where's the resiliency in that?
We're seeing some of that going on right now, right? So the governments are trying to tweak on that, and these are kinds of, if you look at it, if people are using those systems, you can't just kind of cut it cold turkey. It's like smoking. You want to try to ease back so that you're not shocking the system, and then you can ease into more of a regenerative organic style of gardening that then the soil and the plants are taking care of themselves, like in a forest, right? Because nobody fertilizes a forest, but it takes care of itself. So this comes down to staring at nature a little bit and observing and seeing, well, what's Mama Nature doing there that we can start to mimic in our own backyards and our back 40s. So
yeah, for sure. And there's when you're making that transition, there's an importance of an intervention, like the services that you bring, right? It's like, okay, hasn't been here, we can't just say, oh, just let nature do its thing. I mean, it'll eventually get there, but if somebody wants results, wants life right away, this is a great way to bring that.
So we can speed fast those, and then we're stepping away from not just having that NPK, but there's so many other nutrients available there. So our calcium, our magnesiums, the borons, the manganese, all these micro and macronutrients that instead of, if we just ate fast food all the time,
right,
how well will our bodies do long term, right? And guys have done videos on that showcasing what that looks like, right? And there's big health implications. So if we look at the same kind of thing, if we're just using NPK all the time, well, we're only going to get so many certain results. And if we really start testing the food, the end product, and what's actually in that, then that'll be the true tale of, okay, well, we need to do something differently.
Yeah, for sure. Okay, awesome. So there was another, I'm going to hop into another kind of topic of a nutrient. You and I were just chatting about this, and this came out of a question of one of my staff members that had for you, knowing you're the soil guy, and she's like, because she's got neighbors, they've been doing the spray, the Roundup, and she's concerned that it's going to be in her soil because they spray very, very close. So, what would, do you know of that is a good remedy? And then you talked about this idea of humic acid.
Yeah, so humic acid, if we look at what this product is, it's essentially really old soil. So when we're trying to build the soil life and the organic matter in our gardens, we're trying to build that soil up into to have a certain level of humus. Not hummus, we're not eating it with pita chips, right? So the humus, and that's that stable portion of soil. So that's where it's holding nutrients well, it's holding water, you've got good levels of organic matter. So the humic acid is essentially old humus. And the big component of that is it's got a really high CEC, which is called the cation exchange capacity. So it's a really big, long carbon chain. So it gets all crumpled up, and you can have little pockets of water being in there. Microbes can hide out and hang out in there. But then it's also got lots of positive and negative points that are really good at holding nutrients and tying certain things up. So there's actually a lot of people, like how you were saying with clay, using clay to pull heavy metals and stuff through the systems.
Yeah, totally.
People are now selling products of fulvic and humic acids that you can do similar things. Mm-hmm. So we can use the humic acid as a way to start to tie up some of these persistent herbicides that are going to kind of sit in the system longer than we prefer them to. So this will help neutralize that a little bit.
Cool, right on. And you're also sharing the idea of, so the humic acid, fulvic acid, it has that ability to kind of bind on, trap, toxins in the case of glyphosate, but also how it plays a role in mineral content and availability to plants. Can you just expand on that?
Yeah, so because it has all these positive and negatives, so as I had said before with the NPK in these like miracle grows, how they're very soluble, they'll just flow through the system.
Right.
So we don't want that, especially when now we get these heavy rains, like like it's washing all the nutrients out of the system. But if we have good humus, or using humic acid in the soil, that'll help bind and hold those nutrients in place so they won't flow through.
Right.
And then that way the microbiology, the bacteria and the fungi can start to nibble on that and make it available as the plants start to need it.
Right.
So it's a way better way of going about, instead of just trying to apply stuff over and over and over again and having it just wash out.
Yeah. Cool.
Yeah.
All right. So if somebody wants to get in touch with you, how do they do that? So your company, I know, is Living Soil Solutions.
Yeah, so the website is livingsoil.ca, and then we're on Facebook. Instagram has been hacked, but I'm trying to get it back.
That's right.
Yeah.
Buy Bitcoin.
Buy Bitcoin and just going, I need your help. Can you help me? Like,
Right. Uh-oh.
So yeah, Facebook, Instagram, hopefully when we get that back up, and then YouTube, and then I'm under Twitter is at Soil Mike. So
Okay, right on. Any lasting thoughts, parting comments for the folks watching?
I think just get a little bit more intimate with the soil. If you haven't put your hands in the dirt yet this summer, get them in the dirt, get them in the soil, and plant something, because it all starts in the soil.
That's right. Okay, right on. Thanks a lot, Mike.
See ya.
Bye.